Hello there and welcome back to the show, and today I'm going to be talking about Joker Folie. This is the sequel to 2019's Joker, a film that I absolutely loved. I thought it was one of the best films released in 2019 and one of the best DC films that was released in years up until that point. When a sequel to Joker was announced, my initial thoughts were this feels unnecessary. Reports came out that Joker was initially supposed to be a standalone film, but when you make $1 billion at the box office and become the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, a sequel is inevitable because studios want to make as much money as possible. Then the early reviews started coming in, which were not very good, and I went to the cinemas last night to watch this film, and let's talk about it. So I went to the cinemas last night to watch this film. I was the only person in the screening that I attended at 6:30, which is the first time in recent memory that I can remember being the only person in the movie theater. When it was announced that this film was going to be a musical, I was apprehensive because I'm not a big fan of musicals. They have to be done really well. Joker did not know how to handle it well. I was not a fan of this movie. I was bored. I was checking my watch. I got up and walked around the theater. This film was boring. It didn't know how to tell a proper, coherent story. I got a phone call from one of my friends while this movie was playing, and I took the call during the movie because I was just so checked out from what was going on. The story of this film takes place 2 years after the events of Joker. Arthur Fleck is now in prison. He's on trial for the crimes that he committed in the first film. While he's in prison, he meets Harleen Quinzel, who he encounters in a musical therapy class. That's how they meet. Harleen is in love with Joker, the persona of Joker. So this film can basically be broken down into three elements. It is 1/3 musical, 1/3 courtroom drama, 1/3 romance between Joker and Harleen. To me, all three of these elements didn't work out. The courtroom scenes were very boring and tedious. I was not invested in what was going on in these courtroom scenes. When they were recapping events that took place in the first film, all that I wanted to do was just go back and rewatch the first film. These courtroom scenes were not engaging. I wasn't invested. I didn't care about what happened. The musical scenes felt like filler. They didn't complement the story. They didn't enhance what was going on. They just felt like musical scenes that were there to occupy time. They didn't add anything. I felt like the musical scenes took away from the very little that was there. Also, there was very little breathing room between the musical numbers. One would happen and not enough time would pass, and then another musical would immediately start. Finally, the romance between Joker and Harleen. There could have been something there, but I felt like it didn't get enough time. More could have been done to be invested in these two characters. When Joker was released in 2019, one of the things that I thought of, I cannot believe this is from the same person who directed The Hangover. Folie, I 100% believe that this is from the same person who directed Hangover 2. And when you look at Hangover and Joker, a rated R movie that performed way better than anyone could have expected and garnered an unnecessary sequel that's nowhere near as good. The parallels between Joker and The Hangover are kind of unbelievable to see the parallels between Joker and Hangover. Folie, as I was watching it, this felt like Todd Phillips. He wanted to make an art house musical film, but Warner Brothers were insistent that he had to direct a Joker sequel. These two ideas just clash together. They don't complement each other very well at all. That being said, this film does have a few good moments. It is shot very well. The cinematography is very well done. Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga deliver in their performances with the material that they're given. Lady Gaga, she delivers during the musical numbers. Also, the opening scene, it's this cartoon that shows the story of Joker and Arthur Fleck, the two different personas. That opening scene, in my opinion, is the best part of this movie. It is a very good opener. It's done very well. It's well animated, and that to me is the highlight of this film. Joker's character arc in the first film, I was 100% invested in that because it was done very well, and the way the movie ends, him embracing the chaos of the world, that was done very well. This movie completely undoes the ending of the first film. Joker's arc in Folie Deux is the same arc he had in the first film, except done worse. It is completely uninteresting and not compelling. The Boulder in Avatar The Last Airbender had a more compelling character arc in 30 seconds than Joker in the span of 2 hours and 20 minutes that was Folie Deux. Arthur Fleck slash Joker as a character feels like he's regressed as a character in the story. Also, the supporting cast in the first film felt like they served a purpose. The supporting characters in this film serve very little purpose. It feels like they're inconsequential. This movie was boring for the majority of its run, but then the final 25 minutes of this movie. I could not believe what I was seeing in the final 25 minutes of this film. It was horrible. They committed character assassination on Joker. And the ending of this film, one of the worst finales I've seen all year. I cannot tell you how bad the ending of this movie was. It was horrible. It is up there with season 8 of Game of Thrones. That is how much I hated the ending of this film. I mentioned earlier that I was the only person in the cinema when I watched this film. I wish there were other people in the cinema. I would have loved to have seen their reactions to the way this film ended. Joker Folie Deux was boring, did not need to be made. It was not good. The final 25 minutes of this film took it from not good to horrible. This was a bad film. Madam Web was a movie everyone knew was gonna be terrible. With Joker, there was hope that it was gonna be good. It was not good. This to me is the most disappointing film of the year, no question. This was not a good film. Do not waste your time, do not waste your money. And it seems that Todd Phillips is trying to do damage control, claiming that Arthur Fleck is not Joker. He's not the Joker from the comics. This was not a good film. I absolutely hated the time I spent in the movie theater watching this film. Those are my thoughts on this film. It is not good. That is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at Saeed_2000, and I'll catch you on the next one. Till then, take care.